Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Luke, and this is my co host, Jared.
Hello, everybody. How's it
And
going today?
today we're talking about scary ghost stories that are scary. Um,
Ooh.
apparently, uh, there's a lot,
Yeah.
even one from Ireland. So, just a little background on myself. Um, I've had one ghost paranormal activity, you would say, happen to me when I was a kid playing hide and seek. Um, I was downstairs in the laundry room and I thought you know how like cat's eyes reflect the light? I swear to whoever that my cat's eyes were looking back at me through the darkness, and he had just recently sadly passed away. So that's my one ghost slash paranormal activity that that I believe happened to me. I mean, I went to look through the laundry pile, and of course there was nothing there, right? But I am not religious at all, uh, so
And then for
I,
me, oh, sorry. Are you good, Luke?
I was just gonna finish off that I don't believe in a lot of paranormal things. My main paranormal thing is I believe in extraterrestrial life, and I believe that there are people out there that have been abducted by aliens, and I guess that's the most out there belief for me. If you want to
Yeah, and then
expand on your own beliefs there.
perspective and beliefs. Yeah. Um. So I am a non-practicing Catholic. I do think of myself as Catholic. I've been baptized, and my family grew up that
Well,
way.
same here, right? I was raised Roman Catholic.
Yeah, I think you have more knowledge on religion than I do, but um, for me,
Well,
the only experience that I really had was actually on a tour of a haunted a cave system here in here in where the home state that we live in. I went on a tour of a haunted cave, and I don't know if it was my mind playing tricks on me, but I was the only one who saw this. There's kind of like a rock, and it's kind of like a bit wide base and kind of tapered off like that. And there's two ladies standing here, like they were part of the group. And then under that weird kind of like rock like that, I saw a shape of a silhouette of a dress, and it looked like static. It was black and white and looked like that static you'd see on a TV when you can't pick up a channel. That's what it looked like to me. And so the tour guide said I was like the 36th person that month that had seen that exact same silhouette in that area. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think I did see something. And the lore, like the lore of that cave of what happened there was there a bride did die there. Her husband that she was supposed to marry inside the caves, they have these stalactites that were supposed to be really good luck, and this is back in the 1800s. He ended up dying in a wagon accident, and so he died on his way to his own wedding. And so when the bride found out about that, she ended up taking her own life in the cave system, where they were supposed to get married. And so they say that her spirit still haunts that cave system to this day, and that people see it. And because of the situation the world is in right now, we can't say that because YouTube doesn't like it. Um, there was a lack of people going into that cave and taking that tour. Um, and so they say the spirits started picking up in activity because of the lack of people. And so when everything started opening up a little again during the summer, me and my friends went, and that's when I saw that experience. And they said the ghosts there, there's several of them, are more active because there were less people in the cave system early in the year because of the lockdown. So that was very interesting for me to see that. Besides that, the only time that I ever had another paranormal experience was in my uncle and aunt's. a condo in their basement. It was when I was younger, it felt very creepy, and it always felt like someone was watching me from one specific corner. Every single time I went there in the basement, wherever they had the toys, the kids' toys down there, I'd always feel like there was someone watching me in a corner, but I never saw anything. It was just a feeling. And me and my sister hated being down there, so we'd run down there, grab the toys, and run up to the main floor because it wasn't creepy up there, and everyone was up there. All the adults were up there drinking beer and hanging out. So we didn't want to be in the creepy basement all alone. So that was the only two paranormal kind of experiences that I've had. But yeah, so I do believe in the paranormal, and I did go to Zach Baggins' museum recently too, about a week ago in Las Vegas. So that was really fun too. I didn't see
You
anything
went
there,
to
but it was
Vegas
cool.
without me, you
Yeah,
bastard.
well, we were on a road trip, okay? So
Road trip,
road trip, man.
bruh,
But bruh. But yeah,
bruh.
it was a lot of fun, seeing all those haunted dolls and all. They had like miniature shrunken heads there and stuff, and a lot of haunted type of things.
Oh,
So that
like
was really
those
cool.
creepy dolls in your guest bedroom that you make force me to sleep in.
Look, I try to angle them so they look out the door at the window so they don't stare at our guests. Okay,
I
and
swear they stare at me while I'm sleeping.
they might turn it while you're. They might turn in the middle of the night. I don't know. We took them
Yeah,
out. We took them out. They're in the basement now. They're in the basement.
I
And
swear,
my
man. I saw one of those looking at me one night.
we have like three or four of them. My Nina likes to make them, so they're really creepy porcelain dolls, like old fashioned dolls, and she used to make them by hand, so they look really
Yeah,
weird.
I, I,
Um,
I, I guess to expand on my beliefs is, I believe in like karma or like bad energy. Okay, like, uh, like in abandoned asylum or a old slave quarters or just like where a lot of, for lack of a better word, terrible things happen there, and like people's pain like manifests, and like
yeah.
sticks around.
Well, not only pain but sadness,
Yeah, like
betrayal,
really strong emotions.
emotions. It could even be love too.
Right.
It's just emotions that tie the spirits to either a specific location, a specific item, a specific like house, a room, to people even. Um, Now, I'm not entirely sure whether I believe on like demons. Do you, Luke? Do you believe in like actual demons roaming
So
around and possessing people? I don't know if I entirely believe that. Maybe ghosts possess
didn't
people of like
didn't
past
we do
spirits.
a
They could be
vid?
evil. We
Didn't
did,
we
yeah. We
do a video on exorcisms once?
yeah, exorcisms, yeah. So I don't know if I do or don't believe in it. So I'm pretty neutral on that stance. I'm not saying it's fake, nor am I saying it's real. I'm in that middle ground for like demon possessions, where it's just like I don't know if that's really happening. Um,
I I would say it's more
Evil spirits,
like
like
I
from
don't want
actual
to go
people?
there because it might be, I don't
Controversial.
know, judging the person or something. I mean,
But that's
who one part of me is like, who am I to say what is or isn't happening? I mean, there's plenty of people that think that like alien abductions are like demons, like you're
yeah,
I I'm not kidding you. I've run across plenty of people online where they say aliens are demons,
interesting.
which,
I don't know.
I totally disagree with.
I do too. I think they're two
I
separate
just think they're
entities.
beings with really, like,
Intelligent
they're
life,
either extra dimensional beings because they can move through solid matter and whatnot, or they just have really
advanced
advanced
technology.
technology. I mean, to me, it's not, like you have to get all religious on it or whatever.
Yeah. Um, I mean, for me, I believe the same as you that they're two different entities, ghosts and demon, or I mean, not ghosts, but aliens and demons. I think they're two different entities. I think aliens are either fifth dimensional or they come from a different planet, or fourth dimensional.
They just skip the fourth dimension because
Fourth
that's
dimension.
time.
Yeah, yeah, fourth dimension. Listen here, all right. So I think
It
I think they're either fourth dimensional beings. They're able to travel through matter and like kind of travel
no,
long
I
distances like
it
that. You know,
did
kind of like a
did
wormhole.
did you get
Um,
that from the podcast I listened to while we're playing
no,
League?
No, I didn't. I didn't get it from
Because
there. I'm thinking of.
that's
I was thinking of the.
exactly
I was thinking
that's
of the. I was thinking of the Fifth Element, the movie, for some reason. Aliens like that. That's what I was thinking of.
well, what the to quote them, it's like, well, I don't know, but I feel that they like just completely skipped the fourth dimension because that's time. And he's like, oh yeah, I see your point.
That's funny. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know whether they're like fourth dimensional beings or maybe fifth dimensional beings, or if they come from another planet and they're just so advanced they're able to make light speed work. But I think that's different than demons. I think demons come from a religious aspect of evil incarnated. I don't think aliens are necessarily evil, and I think that's the differentiation there.
Well, have you ever seen like an interpretation or like a metaphor for um, like how the third and fourth, we're third three dimensional, right?
Yep.
So like the fourth dimension, is like a straight line as
Yeah.
it is
It's just
passing,
time.
right? So it's like a string that goes through the third dimension. Like this is the future, this is the past, and as it's going on, that's the present.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Along
Uh,
that plane.
one. So I'm not sure how like that's how the third and fourth dimension interact, but I'm not sure how the fifth
Fifth dimension.
like we can't even perceive the fifth dimension, right?
Yeah, we're not at that level yet.
Right.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get into these ghost
Uh,
stories now that we've laid our basis of what we believe and our
right.
own
I,
personal
I I just
perspective.
wanted to lay that
Yeah,
out. I felt
yeah.
like that's important to kind of give some background
Background, yeah.
on us. Um.
Yeah, it is. It's
So
important, especially with things like this. So, if you'd like to start us off,
yeah,
Luke,
I'll
go for
start
it.
because you have a long one.
Very
Um.
long.
So, uh, I don't want to say the name because it's a bad word. Um, so I'll just say r/user posted. Heard this story on last podcast on the left. They got a listener email about weird stuff happening in her home. I don't remember everything, but what stuck out was her experience with a shadow person. How her house was set up. Her room was at the end of the hallway in their two-story room or home, and one night around 3, she heard the basement door open, then slam shut. She heard something running around on the first floor before she heard it make its way up the stairs, and when she saw it next is burned into her memory. She said that what she saw looked like a person on all fours on the top of the stairs, but bigger, and the back legs were kind of off. She couldn't see any facial features, but could feel this thing was looking at her. Then it bolted towards her door, still on all fours, before she ran and slammed the door shut. But this thing was still trying to get into her room until she started screaming and it woke up her family. So,
That's interesting. So it wasn't a first-hand account. It was an account from like a third
yeah, it's
party
like third
relaying
person.
the information. So that's quite interesting.
um, I, so on shadow people, I mean, I, I'm not trying to disregard it, but like to me, do you remember when we did that video or that live stream on sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
That like all these people seeing like all this crazy stuff. That story kind of
Reminds you of that.
reminds me of sleep paralysis. I'm not saying she had that, it just sounds like it to me.
Well, kind of, but the biggest thing is that um she heard something making its way up the stairs, and she said that the person on the floor was on top of the stairs but bigger and back legs were kind of off. Um and she said that she ran and slammed the door shut. So I don't think that she was sleep paralysis. Because sleep paralysis, you're fully conscious, but you could still see hallucinations because of the chemicals in our brain still think that we're sleeping, but we're not. So there's no way that she would actually be able to physically get up from sleep paralysis and close the door. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Luke, because there's no possible way that she could have had sleep paralysis. It does sound similar, yes, but the one part that makes me think that it's not sleep paralysis is that she got up, closed the
That she
door.
was being
Phys-
chased by it.
yeah, but that she was physically active and able to move. I've had sleep paralysis twice before. Um,
Oh, I thought you just had it that one time.
I've had it twice. The one time wasn't as
Where
creepy as
like
the
you
second time.
jerked your arm to.
Yeah, I had to drink my arm up. Yeah, because I was sitting there for like 10 minutes. I was like laying down, and I could see my clock, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even move my fingers. Yeah, and so that was sleep paralysis. I didn't see anything then. I was hearing things. I was hearing like a baby cry, but I didn't see anything. I just heard babies cry, and there's no babies in our neighborhood, in our like next door or anything. There's no they don't have any like young kids over there, but it was like a legit baby, and that went on for like good 2 minutes. So I was kind of hallucinating that, but this story does not sound like a sleep paralysis event because she actually physically got up and walked to the door and closed the door. So it sounds like a shadow person, but I don't necessarily think that's a ghost encounter. I don't know. Well, I guess shadow people are ghosts too, and they can be. But yeah, that's an interesting
I I
story.
I I mean both the both phenomena are manifestations of your mind in a sense, or
Well, it depends. It,
what you're perceiving.
yeah, it's perception, not matters of the mind. I guess. Well, I guess perception is a matter of the mind, but I think the most important thing to keep like in your mind about is that these are people's experiences, what they've seen, and they're only recounting them to others.
Right, right.
Um, some people do lie about it, but the genuine ones, they actually saw something, and that is
Yeah,
terrifying,
I'm
regardless
not
of whether it's real or
discrediting
not.
them. I
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do you want to move on to the Irish one?
yeah, if you feel you need to take a drink break, do it.
Oh, I gotta go use up Banyo again
that's
for the third time in an hour.
that's a log one.
Yeah, but so here's the Northern Ireland one. So it starts off like this. Here's a true story for you. Years ago, a friend and I got a tour of a cemetery behind the Ulster Museum, Fars Bush. I don't know where that's at actually. Me personally, it used to be a famine graveyard and has been there since about 500 AD. Woo, long time. Well, we got on this private tour. I think my friend was was friends with this guy. He was taking us places that were not on the path, showing us things like sunken graves where you could see the coffins. He told us the archaeological society were late in getting there to preserve a few things after a big winter rain. Well, he took us into this mausoleum that apparently belonged to some guy called Gibson, who was a big deal for the cemetery back in the 1800s. He saved it or allowed poor people to be buried there. I can't remember. It was a big empty room with graffiti in the way back, lots of fag ends and some smashed glass. He told us no matter how secure they make it, some glue sniffers, as he calls them, always manage to break in. I forgot to say this was about after A level exam, so it was probably around 4 o'clock in the evening, June day. It was really quiet. Then this wind just howls through the mausoleum, a real wind that chills you to the bone. The tour guide went white. He said, "Quickly, we gotta go now." He ushers us out and locks the door in the mausoleum. However, I saw that he didn't lock it correctly. This man was scared, my friend, and I don't know why. He literally pushed us out of the gate of the cemetery on the Strain Mill Road. If I didn't know this man was scared, I'd think he was rude. When we got
You're
our my friend and I think he meant car. When we got to our car, my friend and I were talking about what we witnessed. We both noticed that he didn't lock the mausoleum correctly. He turned the key and the bar slid out, but not into the hole where it would lock the door. My friend and I, being 18 and stupid, decided to come back later that night. We met at the gate to the botanical gardens. It was about 12:30 and had our torches. It was Thursday night, pretty busy around town, so we thought we'd be inconspicuous. You know, blend in with the crowd. We waited until it was pretty quiet, and then my friend gave me a boost up the gate, and I was able to pull him up afterwards. We landed on the path behind the gate. I've never heard silence like it. It was a silence I will never forget. even though drunk people were mere feet away, there was a main arterial route into town. It was so silent in that graveyard. My friend and I walked the path, stumbled a couple of times, tripping over uneven ground, and eventually made it to the mausoleum right enough. The door wasn't locked properly. It was still so silent. About 40 feet away, we saw a flashlight. It was a night guard just walking through the graveyard. We were able to hide behind a few freestanding headstones until he passed by us. He spotted the door open, tutted and tried to prop a stone up against it to keep it closed, then walked away. Once he was out of sight, my friend and I walked to the door, removed the stone, and walked in. It was cold, real cold. Remember, this was June, a nice night, but I swear I could see the breath in front of your face. We began shining the torchlight around the walls to see if we missed anything earlier. Our hearts were beating at a million miles an hour. Then we saw what was in the corner. In the corner, there was a pile of rags, like someone stripped off their clothes and threw them in the corner 100 years ago. We looked at each other and mouthed, "Do you remember them from earlier?" No. Neither of us remembered a pile of rags in the corner. We moved them with our feet and saw a hatch. There was no lock on the hatch. My friend tapped it with his foot and heard a hollow sound. Again, we looked at each other. My friend, I could see, was scared. I was scared too, although we knew there was nothing to be scared of. It was just a metal plate on the floor. Nothing bad could come of it, right? My friend, being the strongest
Right.
out of us, lifted the hatch, and it lifted with no sound at all, like it had been oiled. I was expecting a squeak at least. Nothing. We saw there was a ladder, and then we shined the light down into the darkness. We could just about make out a dirt floor. We threw a stone down, but we didn't hear it land, so we thought it must be dirt. "Do you want to go down?" my friend said. "Do you?" said I.
So,
Fleck it. We came this far. My friend swung his leg into the hatch and into the ladder and climbed down. I waited for him to reach the bottom before I started my way down. He shined it up at me and whispered, "Come on down. This place is huge." I started climbing down. Just as I reached the bottom, I looked up. Thankfully, the hatch was still open. No, it did not close. I know you were probably thinking the hatch would close, but no, it stayed open the whole time. We walked around this massive underground chamber looking at graffiti from decades, if not hundreds of years ago. That's when we heard it. It was a moan. I once saw a dog get hit by a car, and it sounded like that. It sounded like something asking to be put out of its misery. My friend and I started shining our torches all around the room looking for the source of the noise. Nothing. We couldn't see anything. My friend dropped his torch. When he spun around, it knocked into me. His torch landed on the ground and shined on the ladder. I remember seeing my friend race for the ladder while the moaning got louder and louder. Climbing down the ladder earlier, I didn't think it would be able to hold both of our weight. It had been there for years, and I wasn't going to risk ladder coming away from the way. By this stage, whatever was moaning was in the room with me. I could hear whatever it was walking on the dirt underfoot. I told my friend to hurry the feck up and got out of the hatch. I shined my torch and I saw him leaning through the hole, telling me to start climbing. He was scared. I could see the fear in his eyes. I started climbing as fast as I could. I didn't know if it was my imagination, but the temperature fell by a lot when I was climbing up that ladder. The steps got condensation on it. My foot slipped a few times. Nikes are not meant for underground exploration. I was within reach of my friend. Then I felt it. Something grabbed my foot. I initially thought I had slipped it through a rung of the ladder, but my friend, the sweat was dripping from him onto me. He was looking at something behind me. I knew it. He wasn't looking at me, but whatever was behind me. The foot was My foot was stuck in the hand of something. I wrestled it free, but the moaning was getting so loud it was piercing my brain and entering my bones. I managed to get up out of the hatch. My friend sprinted towards the door. I was on my knees, having just climbed up from the ladder. Just as I was crawling forward, about to get on my feet to run like frick, it happened. No, the door didn't close. It grabbed me. It grabbed my foot. I tried to stand, but I fell on my face, arms outstretched in the dirt, clawing at the dirt. The, the moaning had gripped my foot and started pulling. I shouted for help from my friend, but I could see in the dark that he was halfway up this Strandmill road. It started pulling me again. The moaning was louder. It pulled at my leg, pulling my leg, pulling at it, much at the same way I'm pulling at yours. Got us. That was a good story, though. That was a good story.
What a way to end it.
I know that was a good story. It was still a really good story. I liked it. Whoever put that together did a really good job. I like it. That was good. It
We're
had some.
looking for real ones, though,
I
David.
know. I know. Damn it. But that was a good story. That was a good story. I'll give it
He
credit.
got you.
He got me and you. I'll be right back. You go ahead and tell him your thoughts, Luke, of what you think happened in that story, and he can continue on with the third story if you'd like. But yeah, that was a good story. I liked it a lot.
Sounds like the kind of tunnel we'd go in when we do that Ouija board
Oh, I
video.
no, I will not. No, I will. I refuse. I refuse. No, thank you, good sir.
Okay. Um. So I mean, since it's a fake story, I guess we'll. I mean, I guess we'll give you a 8 out of 10 for storytelling, but a 1 out of 10 for tricking us and trying to pass it off as a real story. So I guess we'll move on, right? So here's a user that says, I've seen shadow figures. When I was 5 years old, it was in the summer before my first day of school, and my grandma took me and my family to a lake cabin her sister owned. I woke up early in the morning, and as I looked out the window, I saw a shadowy figure climb slowly up a tree. Just coming into view, all I could see was the top of this particular tree and the sky behind it. It seemingly moved as a low frame rate, and I watched frozen in fear as two more climbed the tree behind it. Eventually, the figures turned towards them and jumped. It got closer and closer, but continued to shudder. Eventually, they got the nerve to jump out of their bed and to their mom. They tried to explain what they saw, but it was really early in the morning, so she ignored them. Great parenting. And just told them to sleep with them, assuming that they had had a nightmare. But it was no nightmare, and they were fully conscious. So another shadowy figures that were like climbing up trees and then trying to attack them.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Um, yeah, there seems like there's quite a few other stories on this third one as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to read from that one and I'll continue on this other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one is was this the one you were reading? It's by the wax person, or was the username different?
No, you're reading from the third, the Ask Reddit one.
Yes, that's the one I'm reading from.
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll read from that one then. So I was in a motorcycle accident a few months back. I broke my spine, needed surgery to fuse several vertebrae. As they brought me into surgery, I noticed two men standing at the corner of the OR, not looking at all surgically clean, entirely out of place. Looking back on it, I later recognized them as my two late grandfathers, one of whom died in the hospital, the other died during a surgery. The reason I know they were my grandfathers was because my parents told me a story about how they were in the hospital food court during my 11th hour surgery. My dad heard his father telling him that everything was going to turn out all right. He told my mom. She wasn't surprised at all because she had even heard her father tell her that I was going to be fine, even though this was late. And they were the only ones in this dead, silent cafe. I never told that story before, let alone to the entire world. So that was. So that's a good story. I like that story. And what was weird when I was reading that story, I actually got the chills. I don't know why. It was not it wasn't a scary story, but I don't know, it gave me the chills up and down my spine, up to my shoulders. I'm not even joking. Like that story literally gave me the chills. I don't know why. That was weird. But and it's not that cold to my room either. But yeah, that story legitimately gave me the chills. I don't know why. Do you want to read the next one, Luke?
Yeah.
I live in this
Guess I
house.
don't really have any other reaction to the one you just had.
Yeah.
My aunt would always tell me this story. It creeped me out so hard when I was younger. So my aunt used to work in a facility, And one night, a young patient was combing her hair, and my aunt asked what she was getting ready for, and she said the devil was going to visit her that night. My aunt was creeped out, but left her until the next checkup, and I'm not sure if my aunt or one of her old coworkers who went in and checked on her next, but they saw a dark shadow at the foot of her bed while she slept. That kind of reminds me of, so I believe that's real, but doesn't that kind of remind you of Paranormal Activity? Do you remember when like they have the Xbox Connect? I believe it's the fourth Paranormal Activity, and
Yeah, and it shows that light grid
they
where it
they
like
show
picks
that
up that
green
thing.
light and they
Yeah,
show the demon and it's like the size of a small child or something,
yeah,
like the devil that the witch coven summoned.
yeah.
God, that was creepy. I
That
I
was
miss
creepy.
those movies.
I know they're good. And then there's this next one. I live in a house with a basement. Every time I walk up the stairs, I would get this weird, creepy goosebump feeling on the back of my neck. Hey, just like I did. Hey, it didn't make me uneasy to go down there, down the stairs, or to be in the basement. My craft room was down there, and I'd spend a lot of time down there. After a while, I would have items I was using disappear. Then I would look for them again. I would search and search, and one day I got frustrated, and to no one in particular, I yelled, "Arr! Can I please have my scissors back?" I had just looked under the pile of new mail, and when I turned my head, my scissors were on top of the mail. I asked my neighbor, and she told me that the original owner of the house was a jolly old man who loved to prank people, and he had fell coming up the stairs one day and died. I think the goosebumps were him trying to tell me to be careful. And every time after that, when something would disappear, I'd politely ask for it back, and it would appear in the place that I could not have missed it before. Thanks, old man. It was fun. Interesting. All right, your turn, Luke.
Okay. One what scared me for years was when they were a kid. It came from an episode of Taps. Was that Ghost Hunters? Yeah, that was Ghost Hunters.
I think so.
They were filming in an old hospital asylum. Yeah, places like that, Jared. And there were many stories of ghost women. One of them could be seen looking out a window, and one day a student exploring the building slept there to try to prove there wasn't a ghost, but before going to sleep, he called the ghost and woke up in the middle of the night to find a woman's face just above his, looking straight into his eyes. He went mad and jumped by the window or something like that. I mean, out the window.
That's kind of weird.
Okay.
Just dove out the window, apparently.
Ah!
I'm gone.
I'm
All
done.
right. I'm done. All right, so this will be my last story. Luke, if you'd like to read one more, that's cool with me. If not, we could end the video after this story too. So it's up to you. But here it goes. My grandparents used to have a really beautiful painting of my aunt hanging in their living room. And yes, she still is alive. Anyways, I was about 5 or 6. I was sleeping in their living room, and one night when I heard it talk to me, it was her voice. It talked to me just like she would have. It was weird because I was really calm. I was not scared, even talking back. But I knew that paintings don't talk. Eventually, she told me to go wake up my grandpa and tell him she wants to talk to him. I went and woke him up, and when he realized I was talking about the painting, he got really pissed. He was yelling at me. When he suddenly stopped and stared out the window, then his eyes got wide and he told me to hide in his bedroom and tell my grandma to call the police. Then he grabbed a pistol. He was hidden in his cabinet and ran out. While she was on the phone, we heard 2 shots. He came back in after a few minutes and told us he had shot one of the guys trying to break into the house in the arm, but they all got away. It turns out that prison for minors was about 20 miles away, had 3 escapees. They ran through the woods until they came to my grandpa's property and planned on looting what they could and used us as hostages if necessary. That was until my aunt's painting woke me up and told me to wake him up. All right, so that's pretty creepy. That sounds like he has like a hidden guardian, like the
But
guardian woke him
isn't
up,
that a
and
benevolent
yeah, that's a benevolent
figure?
experience. But that nonetheless is still a ghost story or ghost like related event. So that's a good one. I like that one a lot because that one's
But
not
that's
necessarily scary, but it was more of a comforting type of thing.
but that's good
It is
that
good.
it
It is good.
told
Yeah,
them
exactly, exactly.
right.
All
Um,
right, Luke.
so here's one more, and then I guess we're gonna end it because yeah.
I gotta go
Um,
eat. I gotta go get some dinner.
Someone once told me the story of how her and her friend were driving down a dirt road in this wide open space somewhere. That's really descriptive. They were
Very.
lost and stopped for a few minutes to try and get service on their GPS when a little boy in an old timey 1800 century clothes approached the driver's side, knocking on the window. She said they looked at each other and were so confused looking around to see where he must have come from. Then they saw men on horses, also in similar clothing, riding quickly towards the car from behind. Apparently, the boys started running and they were freaked out, so they stepped on the gas real hard and fled. And as they looked back at the road, they started to disappear. Wow. So that
Wow.
kind of sounds like. Have you heard of a time slip?
Ah, I've heard of it. Yes.
I want to do another video on that.
I'd be
But
down.
it that's a really cool one to end on. Wow,
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
because like that event might have happened, and they were just
Witnesses of it.
witnessing it
Yeah.
happen in the
Even though it took
modern
place at
day.
a different time.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so that'd be a
Um.
slip of the fourth dimension, right?
Oh yeah,
Where they're overlapping.
because you're an expert on this now.
Yes. Thank you, Sensei Luke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Sifu.
Sifu.
Yeah.
Thank you,
If
Sifu.
yeah, because you've seen Avatar, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Sifu.
Sifu.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Please leave a like and comment on the video, and I hope you guys are enjoying the new channel.
Woo.
Woo!
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night,
Peace
guys. Thank
out.
you. Peace.
Woo.